Anderson, welcome to Gruen. Just when I thought a jacuzzi couldn't get grosser, this happens. Gross. Hope no one drops a Milo nugget. OK, I have some questions. Why does Milo want us to sit in the Milo jacuzzi and then drink from the very same Milo jacuzzi? Excuse me? I've always heard when it's brown, flush it down. And why do they call the Milo jacuzzi a serving suggestion? I suggest you use a cup. What, now I need to buy a jacuzzi and I can't use the jacuzzi because Mum wants a Milo? And why do Milo call the jacuzzi the hot seat? Is it only for millionaires? Lock 'em up, Eddie! And if you're in a jacuzzi, why did you pack a snorkel? Why are you sitting in the jacuzzi fully clothed? Go nude, you cowards! Or at least wear the official Milo Speedos, which are a real thing. Grainy around the crotch. And why? And why did Milo add this line? Pool fencing laws apply. Check your local council. What exactly am I asking my local council? What's the biggest Milo I'm legally allowed to make? And why claim that this is the world's largest hot tub of Milo, which is not a thing, and then add world record pending? Why couldn't you get the record? Hang on, is there a bigger hot tub of Milo somewhere? Did they check with their local council? Who else is trying to break that record? I'll tell you. I am. Earlier today, I took this tin of Milo and snuck up to the secret hot tub Ita keeps on the top of the ABC. So now I have the world's largest hot tub of Milo. And third-degree burns. World record pending. Once upon a time, we used to have a thing called privacy. Now the brands that have taken our privacy are flogging security. Last year, Telstra customers fell victim to a data breach. This year, Telstra is promising protection. Oh my God, I didn't know Telstra had an army. Who's in it? NBN Robert Smith? I'm just glad they were able to protect this picture. They look more like kidnappers than security. I thought it was going to end like this. I have a special set of skills and I will find you unless you are in a rural area or going through a tunnel. Priya, is this the right way to sell security?
Well, visual metaphors are actually quite a useful trick in advertising because what they let you do is they let you take something that is invisible and intangible and quite hard to explain and make it visible for people. It's pretty full on, but it's a very simple get. It's basically saying you're safe, you're secure. And actually, the more extreme these metaphors, the more extreme metaphors that brands use, the more memorable they actually are. Like, that will stick in your mind because you're kind of going, what is happening to this family? Why are they being surrounded? And that memorability does actually help brands because it helps you recall the ad, it helps build over time what's called brand salience. That just means the brand is at the top of your mind, you're aware of it whenever you're thinking about telco or security. So for me, this is less about even trying to sell a specific security solution and more actually a brand position for Telstra. They're going, we're big and we're safe and we're secure.
I think it's a 60-second ad that's 40 seconds too long. So it is good to use a visual metaphor. I think what makes that ad, so the ad itself is not so interesting, but the context in which they made it is. Because one of those sayings, you know, don't let a good disaster go to waste. They played this off the back of Optus breach, the major breach that was in the news. And so you could imagine the advertisers that are contextually going, okay, we can leverage that negative event. We can leverage the fear that people have that they're going to be breached. And we, as the #1 brand, Telstra, can come out and say, we're secure. So I think the ad itself is somewhat obvious and a little bit boring, but I think the context in which they did it is clever.
Yeah, it's not 40 seconds too long because they're Telstra, and Telstra being Telstra, they've got to go big, right? And it's quite interesting because it's big Telstra, there's a big brand Telstra, and we are, don't worry, we're spending money on making sure that your data is secure. So that's obviously the proposition. Or do you try and make a bigger deal of the technology that you're using to make that data secure? So that becomes the lead message. So you see there's a logo, there's 2 logos in the ad, and there's the privacy logo, which they just sort of give us the logo and then it folds away, and then so that's a discussion they've had within the organisation. How heavy do we go on doing a Intel Inside? How heavy do we go? Remember when ANZ did the Falcon, and the Falcon represented their security? So how heavily do we try and build another brand, a secure brand, versus building Telstra? And if it was me, I would have gone way harder on the security logo prior to the Telstra logo and made that the core message, with Telstra bringing you that message.
Yeah. Telstra also flogs security on TikTok, so you can be certain you're protected while the Chinese government steals your data. But Telstra's TikTok ads are a little creepier.
Oh my God. What the hell? What is going on?
Nothing says safety like strange men surrounding a child. That ad is lo-fi and filmed from the perspective of someone watching from the bushes. Todd, why is Telstra giving us the creeps?
You've got these companies like Telstra that are running ads about data security, but they are the problem. They are using our data. And so one of the major issues that we face is these companies need data from a marketing perspective, you know, to be able to communicate effectively and to be able to come back to their audience. And the regulations around data, particularly in the marketing space, are incredibly loose. And we needed events like, you know, breaches to make us take a good look at them. Because if we don't, we as marketers would use data to the nth degree to sell products to people. And that comes at a cost. So, I mean, it's super creepy on a meta level because they're the ones we need to worry about.
In regards to that ad and why it looks like that, it's mimicking viral content. So starting with the camera turned to the ground, if you see something happening, you're opening your camera, you're going to start filming it. For the TikTok generation, who you would need to keep captive in a car to watch that 60-second spot, they're much more likely to hang around if they feel like there is going to be something that's given away and caught off the cuff. And, you know, I think maybe they didn't think too deeply around this strange men surrounding the child in the park. But certainly that format is best practice on the platform.
NAB has previously repaid their customers for data breaches. Sorry, NAB, but for me, it's about more than money. Now NAB is putting the blame on you.
Zombies!
Okay, Tommy, stay calm. Think before you click.
Oh my gosh!
You have $15,480.
No. Scam.
Scam. I knew the zombies weren't real because NAB would have charged them. Last year, Australians lost over $3 billion to scams. Makes them seem fun, doesn't it? I've been a victim of scams. Got to go to hospital. I've got to get some scans. Got to clean out my email folder. I'm getting some spams. Liana, is it smart to make us feel stupid?
It's feeling silly, which is what I think that jingle at the end does. We know that people typically act on scams because they're caught in these mindless moments or because there's a really big impetus, like a $15,000 withdrawal. I know when I get text messages like that, I have the same reaction. I'm like, if you can find $20,000 in my bank account, it's yours because it's not mine. So I think the strategy is really bang on here. The casting is really good. Gone are the days that it is old ladies who don't know how to use the internet being scammed.
That is true. Old ladies who don't know how to use the internet watch Gruen. And we're here to tell you about scams.
What they're doing here is showing us that if we just take that beat, we can flip from being a victim to actually being in control by doing nothing, which is my dream.
Okay.
Yeah, if you put a cynical lens over this...
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually what we're here for. So please put a cynical lens over this.
So that ad is not saying NAB is safe. It's saying you are unsafe. And I think they're taking a proactive approach, looking ahead at potential regulation. Because if you look at the UK, they're refunding the majority of scams. In Australia, they're not. And so banks do not want the refunds to become something they have to do. So the sort of agenda they're putting forward to the public is, if you're being scammed, that's your problem, not our technology. And to me, that could be viewed as a cynical play.
I like that.
Russell's just agreed with you.
Yes.
Don't trust him. I believe it's a scam. Google, the company that was fined last year for secretly harvesting data off Android users, is also pushing data safety with ads like this.
There are two ways to find out if a website has malware: from your browser or from the malware. Malware protection built in.
What's malware? A leather jacket on Q&A. Thank you. Wow, privacy is so important to Google, she won't even reveal the identity of her books. But I Googled it, and according to Google, Google collects where you Google, who Googles, and what you're Googling. Both NAB and Google film from this unflattering perspective. I knew our phones were spying on us. Russell, why this angle?
It's interesting, isn't it? And it's interesting how categories then start to all use the same camera angles. I suppose it's, it is because the phone is looking at you. You're not looking at a mirror when you look at your phone. The phone is looking straight through you. It knows more about you than you do. So I suppose maybe that's why this angle is becoming one of the tropes for this style of advertising. It's an attempt to buy a bit more social licence. It's an attempt to actually be on your side. It's an attempt to say, yeah, this technology, it is a bit frightening and what it can do. And they want to have a conversation with you in an adult way. They perhaps are trying not hard enough, though, to build that social licence. I think that the banks, I don't think they spend anywhere near enough money on just ensuring that they keep us safe in a financial privacy sense. They need to do a lot more than they're currently doing, and they do need to give us the sense that they are investing in all of our society, because it is the critical thing that's facing all of us.
Yeah, I think this is definitely those brands trying to put themselves in the customer's shoes and show empathy. So that point of view is all about we see you, we get you, sometimes literally. And I think people do have quite high expectations of their online experiences, whether that's search or banking. You expect it to be seamless and you expect it to be secure. And what I think this type of advertising is doing is highlighting that it is a two-way street. Like, customers have to bring something to the party as well, because the brands can't do it all themselves.
What is malware?
Oh, God.
Well, I mean...
a leather jacket on Q&A.
A lot of us are already embedded in Google's ecosystem, and I think what they're trying to do here is move from that really rational standpoint of you use Google Chrome because it's the best functionality, because it remembers your passwords the best, whatever, into that emotional, which is what this camera angle is doing. It's intimate. Whose point of view it is up for grabs, but I think trying to make us feel like it really sees us and understands us is the point of this.
My favourite security campaign isn't for a tech brand, it's for a garage door lock, which offers customers an unexpected choice.
Did you know that when an ordinary garage door is shut, it's not actually locked? So to keep the things in your garage safe, you could protect them with one of these. Or you could just get a B&D garage door.
I didn't know that was an option. I'm buying a Lion. Finding a place to live is harder than ever due to the Costa housing crisis. It seems we've dug a hole we can't get out of, so why not settle in? This week, we've asked our agencies to convince Australians to live underground. Here's the first pitch.
We focus on the group of people who'd be most up for the move, Gen Z.
And because we wanted them to see it, we made a TikTok, not an ad, with a real creator whose recent housing crisis video got over 15 million views.
Take a look.
Have you heard the housing crisis is solved? After years of broken election promises, construction has finally started on New South Wales.
A new underground state, purpose-built for people born after 1997. It's been sold as a Gen Z utopia. Clean energy, architectural social housing, and hydroponic seaweed farms.
Plus, they'll wipe your HEX debt. Sound good? Of course it does. But living in a chook shed sounds good right now.
Because we can't afford to buy or rent a house. We're consuming thousands of pesticides and microplastics in a mass-produced, meat-heavy diet.
While being crippled by debt from a useless degree because we can't even get a job.
Did I mention the planet is dying?
Do you really want to be stuck up here with these planet-ruining, Facebook-posting, friends-quoting maniacs? It's dark times up here. Our future is brighter underground.
Book your spot in New South Wales today.
So what are you waiting for? The world to end?
Well, you've convinced me. Here's the second pitch.
Hi, we never sit still. We saw this as an opportunity to solve a problem.
To redesign a sustainable future of living and rejuvenate some of our landscape's biggest scars.
Take a look.
Renowned for our resourcefulness and innovation, Australians embody a remarkable spirit of ingenuity. We repurpose, reuse, rethink, re-engineer. And with 80,000 abandoned mines across Australia, it's now time to respond. To reclaim over 50,000 hectares of destroyed and discarded land. Recycling mines to rehome Australians. Down Under Developments. Down Under Reimagined.
Well, you've convinced me. Let's see what our panel thinks. Russell, which did you prefer?
Well, number one, I started liking number one, and then I saw number two. And ultimately, number two is an advertising idea that I understood more clearly. So number two.
Priya?
I think number two is targeting an older demographic. Nothing meant by that, Russell, but, you know, a more sophisticated audience. Whereas the first one is definitely really cleverly targeting Gen Z. I like New South Wales. I'm going for number one.
OK, Liana, which of them did you prefer?
I'm also going to New South Wales, as long as they wipe my HEX debt too.
And finally, Todd, what about you?
I wanted to like the first one, but it felt like they had turned a TikTok piece of communication into an ad, which is what they didn't want to do. And I thought the second one had a better idea, so I'm going for two.
OK, so the old men went with the old idea and the young women went with the young idea. That seems to check out. I guess it's a tie. Congratulations to Poem and Never Sit Still. We'll bury half of this trophy each? Last week, the world's worst website flipped the bird and changed its name from Twitter to X. And Elon is not alone. There's been a Woolies X, Big WX, and an AFLX. And while there is an NRLX, it stands for Northern Rivers Livestock Exchange. This brand tried adding an X, as did a large number of pornography sites. I tried to verify that, and now I'm banned from ABC Wi-Fi. And who could forget this rebrand from 1988 of Channel 10? I could, and I did. Priya, does X mark the spot of the world's worst rebrand?
Well, yes, unfortunately, X does have some immediately quite negative connotations. So pornography, danger, error, death. It's quite a heady combination when you first see the X. But there are positive associations as well. So you can see tech brands have really gravitated towards X because it does symbolise unknown and discovery. So you think of brands like Xbox or even Mac OS X because they're sort of leaping into the unknown. And you see that also in popular culture as well. So if you think of things like X-Files or X-Men, they're all about the next generation of humans or uncovering mystery. And then finally, like, X is a good multiplier letter as well. So brands like H&M have traditionally done collaborations with designers and they would go H&M times Karl Lagerfeld. So they're the kind of positive associations that a brand would be trying to leapfrog on, I think, by using X. I think for Elon, it's quite a specific journey because it brings it into line with his stable of other brands like Tesla X and SpaceX. And I think it'll be interesting, therefore, to see how Twitter users respond to that because previously, the platform's just been agnostic. You don't really know who owns it. But by putting the X, which is his letter, you know, he's sort of pushing himself through the platform. And I think people will have to decide whether they want to be his acolytes or not.
Yeah, he does love the letter X, doesn't he? He loves it so much he's got 3 wives who are also an X.
and he had a child who was X, but had to be renamed. So, yeah.
I can't think of any brand that has iteratively rebranded in real time where we get to watch it, where there's a version of the logo and then, no, it's too thick, and now we've got a thinner one. And we're so used to the Steve Jobs turtleneck, waking up one day and it's called Meta. So I think in our context and where we're at, it's really interesting because when social media erupted, it was really cutesy. There was the Twitter bird, there was the vintage Instagram camera, the Reddit alien is called Snoo. And now we know that those companies aren't cutesy and maybe are a bit evil, and X feels like the right mark for that.
I reckon he should just replace the logo with the giant dick and balls and be done with it. My favourite rebrand is right here on the ABC. Or at least at ABC2. Sorry, I mean ABC for Kids. On 2. Actually, let's go with ABC Comedy. Oh, wait, we've cancelled Tonightly? Better call it ABC TV Plus. You know what? Let's use a plus sign and push that over. Perfect. Australians are little piggies for pork. We eat 1.3 billion pork meals a year. That's over 10 kilos of pork per person, or PPP. Not to be confused with wee, which is what they do all the way home. Now, Animals Australia want us to take some pork off our fork.
It's Davo here. I'm way out on Possum Track and I was driving along and there was a pig in the middle of the road. You know anyone who may have lost one?
Nah, I don't.
It's a little one.
Nah, can't help you, mate.
Yeah, I think I've got your lost piglet. I could bring her back tomorrow or this afternoon.
Be their hero. There's always a kinder choice.
Oh, I prefer to protect my pigs like this. But the Animals Australia ad is actually a shot-for-shot remake of this 2015 ad from New Zealand that features a lost little pig finding a new home. But the original version had a twist in the tale.
Life's better together, so stay connected on New Zealand's leading mobile network.
Sorry, speak up, you're crackling. Todd, can a phone ad save a pig's life?
First of all, I love the ad. And I couldn't care less that it's a direct, almost scene-for-scene rip-off. In fact, good on Vodafone New Zealand for allowing them to do a rip-off of the ad. When I saw the Vodafone New Zealand one originally, I thought it was a bit of pig washing anyway. I mean, what does saving the pig have to do with bundles and, you know, we're better connected together? So I think it's fantastic they're giving them the ad, and I love that. I love that you travel on this journey, you kind of know what's coming, but you didn't see it directly, and then when you're hit with it, you then know he's going to rescue the pig. It's cute. I'm stoked that they borrowed it. I have no problem with that at all.
Is it going to work?
I think it's one of many parts of a broad campaign to raise awareness. I think it'll play its role, yes.
Yeah.
Is it a better ad for animals or for phones?
For phones, really. But yeah, Vodafone's making a long-form New Zealand-style piece of advertising, and New Zealanders are happy to stick with that work. They'll enjoy it, and they'll give Vodafone, you know, a tick as a result, because that's very much how that market works. In Australia, to ask consumers to sit with that advertising for 90 seconds, and then that in itself, I doubt will happen. I don't like the fact that that's not going to happen. It's just I don't think that will happen. And I don't think there's going to be any behaviour change. I think that the line is stunning. There's always a kind of choice is a beautiful, beautiful advertising line. And they're asking me to hang into this ad for a very long time before I get the really beautiful payoff. I just think there's a better way. I think that, and especially when you're Animals Australia. So what's the Animals Australia budget? Let's just, you know, for argument's sake, let's say give them $600,000. Yeah, that's what they've got. So they spent 500 of the 600 making this commercial. They whack it on YouTube and a few thousand people see it. It's not going to do anything.
But Russell, so we're looking at a 60-second, over-the-top, somewhat verbose, silly Telstra ad. We're happy to watch that for 60 seconds. But we're not happy to watch something that's actually got story. It's actually got something. It's got a surprising ending, a twist, and it delivers something. I'm not saying the world's going to stop eating meat, but I think it's one step at a time. I think it's a good way of chipping away at the challenge that they face.
Well, the original Vodafone New Zealand ad was about rural connectivity. So the idea was this guy's ringing around whilst on the road. So it made a little bit more sense of the pig and the whole story. But I do think it's actually a really effective ad for the pig because the pig is the hero. I would agree that there is probably a question around long-term efficacy. So there's that immediate heartstrings pulling idea of pig as pet, but that is quite a long leap from I'm now not going to eat that bacon sandwich that I'm craving, or I'm not going to put the pork in the basket when I'm shopping. It's asking people to hold a very atypical experience into a shopping environment.
I mean, after watching that ad, I have personally stopped eating spam. Thank you, by the way. Very good from upstairs on that one. Earlier this year, Coles and Woolworths were grilled over where their pork came from, so Animals Australia released another ad to make us squeal.
You didn't know, did you? There's a kinder choice. Choose meat-free.
Oh, the pigs are right out the back? They really are the fresh food people. Liana, what works best, love or shock?
I think as a society, we are beyond shock advertising. It works in the context of investigative journalism, but in an ad where you're already kind of distrusting what you're seeing, it feels sensationalist when it probably isn't. Yes, factory farming is wrong. Yes, we should be thinking about the provenance of our food. Should we show that mother with her baby strapped to her? We are at a point in time where people are very stressed in the supermarket. They are looking for low price. They are not looking to watch an ad that they might think is about a sale on pork chops and then get told that they're terrible people. I think in the context of our broader environment and the economy, it's not the right time to use that message.
It's very important when you're doing, well, all advertising, you want it to work. And so you're spending clients' money, and how do you best exploit that money for some sort of return? And I just think that they're using the wrong medium, right? If you're a small advertiser and you've got a cause, you need to actually say, OK, what is the best medium that I could use that I can just concentrate all my forces on that medium? So if, for example, they've got $600,000. Let's just imagine they've got $600,000.
They don't have $600,000.
Oh, OK, they probably have three...
Look, come on, Todd. It's the smallest amount Russell can imagine.
So let's say...
If Russell had $600,000 in his bank account, he'd be like, hang on, this has got to be a scam.
Right, so they need to own a medium, Will. They need to just own a single medium. So whatever the budget is, you just concentrate your force on that. So let's say it's $100,000 is their budget. Divide that by 12, so let's just call that $10,000 just for ease.
So we've really ruined the maths already.
Yeah, I know. And every single month, you relentlessly pursue a medium with your message. There's a kind of choice. That's what you do. You don't make this stuff because it literally is forgotten tomorrow. You just need posters, so as you're driving towards that supermarket or on your bicycle, whatever, you go past a sign that says there's always a kind of choice. You will then get behaviour change.
No, but Russell, I just don't think it is I don't think it's an either-or. I think, sure, doing outdoor advertising that's close to point of purchase is a really good idea.
It is either-or because they haven't got enough money.
But Russell, I would imagine they do it at budget and get as much contra as they can, and they should have multiple pieces of medium in their arsenal. And this one requires a visual treatment to make people go, holy, wow, that's not good.
I think film is the most effective media for triggering emotional reactions. So you can absolutely land very rational messages on a poster, but you can't make people feel very much through a set of words, like it's a kind of choice. What this is doing, which is effective, is making people feel that parallel. It's hard to watch because it is a mum and her kid, and they're showing you the experience of the lady pig and her kids.
I get it now. The baby's you're meant to think of the pig babies because she's got a baby. Yeah, that does make a lot more sense than my reading of that, which was, oh my God, babies might taste delicious. My favourite bit of that whole thing was when you were like, let's say they have $100,000 and you divide that by 12, so let's say $10,000. And I was like, can't believe that Russell worked at PwC for a while.
Or you can.
Animals Australia have released 2 more ads that show the piglet and its rescuer getting closer and closer. Oh my God, I think they're going to pork. But if I wanted to put people off eating meat, I'd just show them this.
They're painting away and they're hungry, I'd say, and I know what they're looking for. So I popped in the pot a bacon joint from Denny. It goes so far. Great value meat goes down a treat, that traditional ding-dong taste. They vanish each slice in front of your eyes and there's never any waste. Cause Denny have got...
Denny have what?
Denny have got what? What have they got? Come on now.
Denny, you've got taste.
Yes. Oh. The traditional ding-dong taste. That's all we have time for tonight. Please thank our panel, Russel, Howcroft, Priya, Patel, Liana Rossi and Todd Sampson. We're leaving you with a PSA we've made to keep ABC viewers safe from scams. We'll see you next week.
a guide to avoiding scams as an ABC viewer. To avoid scam texts, keep your phone font small enough that you can't actually read it. Be aware that scammers might impersonate your children. Try to remember that your children are ungrateful and never message you. And scammers love to impersonate the Australian Tax Office. So stay safe. Don't pay any taxes. They'd only waste the money themselves, falling for some scam.